morning and welcome. Patriot Radio News Hour. Joe and Jason on this Thursday. You just never know. A tough day on Wall Street yesterday, again today. A lot of it having to do with comments from Jay Powell, a disaster earnings report from UnitedHealth, and then Donald Trump this morning saying, hey, we can't get rid of Jay Powell fast enough. I mean, that's just the start. Our toll-free number, 800-951-0592. The website at allamericangold.com. You know, yesterday, gold explodes to the upside. New record highs, and gold's wasting no time. Listen, we're seeing this very clear pattern. It really started last year. Last year, the pattern, it was slower developing. This year, it's rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. Gold hits new all-time highs. Gold consolidates. Gold sets a new higher low. And then gold hits a new all-time high. And then rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. This is exactly what the pattern seems to be, and I can't blame people. Right now, gold's the one trade that's working. When you sit there and you think about losses, whether it be bond market losses, stock market losses, you just don't know. You know, UnitedHealth, that's supposed to be one of the safe places, right? When the old market. Go to the dollar, go to treasuries. When things slow down, you go into utilities and health care, right? All of these things, it's just not working. And then probably frustration from President Trump this morning. The ECB lowered rates. This is the seventh time that the ECB has lowered rates. Of course, they're warning, right? They're saying, hey, it's a simple choice. We don't care about inflation. It's the economy, stupid, and we're lowering rates. Donald Trump taking to Truth Social, and too late. Jerome Powell of the Fed is always too late and wrong. Yesterday, so Jay Powell, after the markets, after the gold market was closed, Jay Powell was talking. And I'll be honest, anybody that was hoping for rate cuts soon was very disappointed. Matter of fact, Jay Powell, I'll say this. I'm not going to say Donald Trump's wrong here. I'm not going to say he's wrong. He's too late. He's wrong. He issued another report that was typical, complete mess. That was the quotes and the Truth Social tweet from Donald Trump this morning. Jay Powell basically said, we're not going to do anything. We are not going to do it. Listen, if the best case scenario happens, right, which is we don't get horrible inflation and the economy doesn't go completely in the tank, right, and we're not going to do anything. Then he goes out and says, if we get the inflation, which he kind of thinks they will, we're not going to do anything. If the worst case scenario, which is we get the inflation and the economy tanks, he pretty much said we're not going to do anything. He wants to wait. I want to wait and see what happens, and then I'll do something, right? And again, for anybody that was sitting here and you're looking at equities, and you're saying to yourself, okay, maybe I should get in. Of course, I told you when you. I promise I'll tell you. I will. It's not right now. And Jay Powell's comments yesterday didn't do anything to change that. In other words, they're not going to be proactive. And again, we've seen this from Jay Powell pretty much throughout his tenure. He's a waiter. He likes to see the data. He likes to wait. And by and large, when we're going to say print money and print money and print money and print money, I guess that could work, right? Let's face it, up until lately, the stock market's done pretty good with Jay Powell. Why? Because he doesn't do anything, right? And keep printing the money. Now, he did, listen, this is getting a little more serious because Jay Powell did say, and I think it's another big point of contention, hey, these Doge cuts is not enough. It will have, I think his exact words were, no meaningful impact, that it's not big enough. And this is what I've been arguing all along. Listen, if you're not going to cut Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, defense, you can't do anything about interest now. We're screwed there, right? If you're not going to attack those things, what's left isn't big enough. And that's what he said. Hey, it's just not big enough. We've got a problem. And I'm going to wait. Well, waiting. We got stocks down again. Patriot Radio News. 800-951-0592, right? Physical delivery of gold and silver. What are you guys doing? Right? I know it sucks. You're like, gosh, but I wanted to wait, right? Everybody wants to be Jay Powell. Right? Hey, can we just wait and you know, let's just see what's going to happen. Listen, we already know what's going to happen. I'll say that Donald Trump knows one thing for certain. We need rate cuts, and we need quantitative easing. He already knows it. And here's the problem. The higher the rates are when they need quantitative easing, the worse it is, right? I mean, it's always better to have rates near zero when you do that kind of stuff. But let's just look at the markets. This was supposed to be a rally day after the blowout from yesterday, and it looked like it was going to be. Why? We got a tweet. Big progress, because remember, Japan was in. No deal. We get that. So far, we've heard big progress from, 4 or 5 countries, but no deals. But that was at least motivating. Something, I'm going to point this out because they don't want to say anything. Do you know where the CEO of NVIDIA is? Anybody? Oh, yeah, he's in China right now. Yep. Not a good sign. Not a good sign at all. Matter of fact, I can't imagine Donald Trump's real happy right now with that. But let's just look at the markets. Healthcare got brutalized today. And I don't know why people didn't understand this. The healthcare companies, it wasn't their fault. They didn't anticipate inflation properly. And when they do these contracts, like the Medicare, Medicaid contracts, well, you're locked in until the contract's up and they can do a new one. UnitedHealth was an absolute disaster this morning. Their stock is down 20%. All the healthcare stocks are getting taken to the woodshed right now. But the Dow is down just under 500 points. The S&P, it was positive. It was negative, back into positive territory. It's not up a lot, but we'll take it up 20. The NASDAQ dead flat here. Really no movement at all. The 10-year note, 431, just kind of hanging out. Crude oil's up another $1.50. Remember, oil inventories really haunting no supply in Cushing, Oklahoma. And then gold. So gold did a very important thing this morning. So yesterday, gold opened in New York up $80. And that's called, so there's a gap in the chart. They call that the gap in the chart, right? Because New York closed. By the time it opened the next day, gold was up 80. It filled the gap today, went all the way down to 32.80, which is really about where the June contract closed the day before. Has filled it. Now it's already back. So it just did it about 10 minutes ago. Gold's now 33.03. Silver is down about 50 cents today, even though another report out about lack of silver supply. So there's going to be another big hit to silver here coming. We're waiting. I get it, though, right? Silver kind of stuck in neutral because everybody but, I guess, Jay Powell, Jason, thinks there's a major slowdown coming.
It seems to me everybody I talk to, everybody I look at, they all are expecting things to be troublesome, if not really, really bad. I haven't heard anyone say that, oh, this is looking really good. No, there's a few people that don't talk about the economy every day that are. I think the economy is going to be great. It's going to be great. I'm talking about the people that do this either for a living or go on the shows. Guys that are in the media. I haven't heard anyone say how great it's going to be. Joe, have you heard anyone say this is going to be great? Things are, man, what a positive direction we're in. This is awesome.
And again, it's. There was no good choice. So really quickly, economic data. Let's get to it real fast. Jobless claims. Listen, 215. Nothing. It's a nothing burger. I don't know. See, I think this is part of the problem. I think part of it is COVID, right? When they didn't have people, boy, it really was nerve-wracking. This is the last thing they want to do. It hasn't shown up anywhere, right? And that was out today. So that tells you, right, well, gosh, the labor market's still pretty good. But then we had housing starts. Now, I expected it to be bad, but it was a complete collapse, down over 11% month over month. D.R. Horton, now we're starting to get it now. So when you think about, remember I was telling you, hey, nobody's been downgraded yet. Look at like United Airlines the other day. We didn't even talk about them. They gave two guidances. Here's our guidance if everything's okay, right? And here's our guidance if it's not okay. And everyone's like, well, what do we do with that? But then we're starting to get clear. We got UnitedHealth today. Like it was just horrible. There was nothing good about it. And essentially, it was real simple. Things went up way more than we thought, period. D.R. Horton lowering their guidance this morning, saying homes are not selling. And then, of course, we got housing starts down 11% month over month. And Jason, again, I think everybody's kind of bracing, but yet nobody's quite ready yet to throw the white flag.
Well, because it just seems like it's dragging, right, Joe? It doesn't seem like there's this, the floor has dropped out. It just seems like there's a slow sucking sound to the economy. It seems like we've been doing this for a while, right, Joe? The last few years, it's just, 2023. Remember Silicon Valley Bank? This is going to be it, right, Joe? Just a couple of weeks ago, the markets were really dying really bad. I mean, today looks like maybe we're going to start continuing that again, but it didn't just keep continuing, right? It seems like it seems like the market is Joe Biden climbing up those stairs into the airplane, falling over every few steps, but he keeps going up, right? He's able to progress to the plane, but it's just not looking good. He hasn't tumbled down the stairs yet. That's where we're all waiting to say, well, when's he going to just tumble down the stairs? That's why everyone watches that clip, because you're waiting for this guy to fall down this big flight of stairs because the guy can't keep his balance. That's how the market feels. The markets feel they're completely out of balance. There's going to be some tremendous sell-off. And I like the Tesla example of how overbought the market is. It's a car company that's valued over, and it's dropped down some finally, but it was valued as much as the top 10 other car manufacturers in the world, and it makes less cars than just Toyota. That's not healthy, Joe. It's not healthy, and economically with the inflation and the other troubles with the tariffs and the geopolitical with Iran and Israel and Ukraine and everywhere else, it doesn't look good, Joe. And that those first-time jobless claims, Joe, I just think that number's broken. We report it every week. I just think there's too many Americans that have more than one job, and so they can't file a jobless claim. You're not jobless if you lose 1 out of 3 jobs. You're not jobless if you still have one of your 2 jobs. And I think there's a lot of musical chairs going on with people in the job market, and you can't claim unemployment if you're too busy trying to. Let's face it, Joe. It's better to have a couple of part-time jobs than it is to depend on unemployment. Unemployment is a bad place for most people. I think they figured out that you're not getting a raise with unemployment, right, Joe? I remember when Obama was giving out unemployment, 99 weeks. I don't think they do that anymore. 99 weeks. Remember 99 weeks?
That was another, the emergencies, yes.
Emergency. But here's the thing. It doesn't matter if you have unemployment for 99 weeks. It's not going up. You're not getting a raise. And with the inflative situation we have, which is worse than when Obama was president currently, then you got to go work. Joe, you got to pay the bills. You got to eat, and you got to sleep under a roof unless you want to go full homeless. And by the way, that situation seems to be getting worse every month, right?
Yeah, and interesting, there was a report out this morning, and maybe this is where it comes. I don't know, because it is one of those head scratchers, right? These jobless claims, but bankruptcy inquiries. So these are companies that, hey, we're not filing bankruptcy yet, but we're looking into it. According to the latest data out, Legal Shield's the one that does it. Bankruptcy inquiries were the highest they've seen since the COVID outbreak, saying that the bankruptcy index, which it says this lags by about 2 quarters. So one of these, we know that the bankruptcy filings have been rising, but according to the latest now, the amount of companies inquiring has now hit levels, like we say, COVID, that was about as bad as it gets, right? So we'll have to wait and see here. We had some companies, these small companies that a lot of people may not know about. Hey, we sourced all of our product from China. Wait, you just hit us with 150% tariff. Yeah, we're out of business, right? We're out of business, and we actually saw that with one of the products the radio station told the company had gone out of business. They're like, yeah, we're out. We can't do it, right? Our product, it was an expensive product to begin with, and then of course you get Jay Powell out yesterday saying that, hey, we don't know what to do. There's a lot of uncertainty. It's Donald Trump's fault that there's uncertainty. And by the way, You are not going to be able to fix the debt problem by simply going after what he basically said was the leftovers, Jason, which is, hey, all the other government spending that isn't Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, defense, interest, there's not enough there. You can cut all of it, and you can only end up with like $1 trillion.
Yeah. It is a situation where I don't see growth and opportunity. I see a worse situation. I mentioned homelessness. I just decided to take a look at the homelessness. Homelessness in this country isn't the same as homelessness like in some other country. Generally, homelessness comes with a lot of drug use and bad behavior. There is very few people that families that are on the streets. Although it does happen, but it is a good indication of the economy, Joe. Because if you have your alcoholic nephew sleeping on the couch, and suddenly bills are getting tight, and this guy's a useless eater, and he's always drunk every night, you kick him out. So the homeless population. I was just looking. I didn't realize Hawaii has the highest percentage homelessness out of all the states. It's gone up from 44 people per 10,000 to 80 from 2019 to today. Many parts of the country you're seeing this even more and more, Joe.
800-951-0592, Patriot Radio News Hour, Joe and Jason on this Thursday. And, we're sitting here and we're talking about the war of words between Donald Trump and Jay Powell. And Donald Trump's right on this one. I'm going to tell you right now. There's no doubt in my mind anyway. Something bad is coming like a freight train. We saw it briefly last week. And that was complete disorder in the U.S. bond market. Now, we've had a calmer week this week. But remember what J.P. Morgan said. Hey, we're out of money now, right? We're out of bullets. We had all this excess money to soak all this stuff up. That's gone now. And somebody better be ready the next time, because we're not going to be able to hold it together. And then Ray Dalio said, listen, forget about tariffs. That's not the big issue. But yet it's all anybody wants to talk about, right? And he's saying something way worse than a recession. And especially, here's the problem. It has to be handled very well. And I think this is Donald Trump's frustration is, I think people in his administration are probably telling him, hey, if the Fed's late here, something really bad is coming out. And that's kind of what Dalio's been talking about. He called it the breaking down of monetary order. We are going to change the monetary order because we cannot spend the amounts of money, so we have the problem. Right, Jason, it's really simple. Right? How about the tariffs? Remember, Don, we're getting $2 billion a day. No. About $500 million. Which, hey, I'll take $500 million. That's nowhere close to $2 billion, right? And this is always the problem. He's calling this a profound change in domestic order, how ruling is existing. And he's saying such times very much like the 1930s. So Dalio was talking about depression. Remember in the 1930s, gold was the money. What did they do? They took the gold away. course, what did they do after they took the gold away? Right? Revalued it from $20 to $35, right? Doesn't sound like a lot, but what a move. What a move that was. Well, Jason Estalio saying that we're getting ready for the end of the dollar, right? Is that, I mean, he's kind of alluding it. Monetary cycles like credit and debt, right? We talk about that. We know this, right? Where are we? Debt, right? They can call it anything they want, but it's always the same. Internal political conflict. Do we not have that? I mean, hell, we can't even pass a budget. Shifting global power dynamics, right? China wants a seat at the table. Did you see Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent say, hey, we're going to try to isolate China? That's what he said. We're going to try to isolate China. And guess who's there today? NVIDIA's CEO.
That's right.
Technology change. AI. Digital currencies. And natural disasters such as pandemics. And Ray Dalio is saying, hey, these are the 5 major forces. And Jason, we've got them all here.
So here, I agree with Ray Dalio on much of how he sees history and how he's talking about where the future's headed. But then I'd also disagree with him. Where I agree with him is he sees these patterns, and he sees the destruction of the dollar, and he sees world reserve currency. Hey, that's going to change somehow. He's seeing the pattern that we've seen in history. I also saw, maybe we'll get into this in the next hour. We'll see, but a strong case can be made that America's already lost the tariff war. I think we're in the middle of something that's happening, but I've seen the case made that if you're going to have a tariff policy, okay, you don't suddenly say, oh, but we're gonna make an exception for Apple. That's not a tariff war. That's you losing the tariff war. You don't have exceptions. You place the tariffs because you need a result to happen between the nations. You could say, well, it's just an adjustment and this and that and everything else. Well, that's a pretty huge adjustment. We can look at what is actually being exported out of China and imported into America, and you start saying, oh, well, that's a pretty big exception. It's pretty much the biggest exception you could possibly make. If you're going to make an exception on tariffs, you usually would do, well, okay, how about these little small industries? Let's keep Harley-Davidson from going under, right? That's not what this is. So Ray Dalio, based off that, hey, China's going to win the tariff war. It's going to be the next world reserve currency. But I differ than that. Ray Dalio, because, Joe, you know me, I don't think anyone's got the whole picture right. Joe and I don't have the whole picture right, so we prognosticate what we hear and see and tell you what everybody's saying. When the pound lost world reserve currency status, Great Britain, it didn't happen like the previous countries. It morphed and sort of just kind of turned into a chameleon and just snaked its way into America and became the Fed. It's the same guys. What we're seeing is no nationality. There's no nations anymore. There's a system in place. And the system doesn't want you to see the system. They want you to see countries. They want you to see peoples. They want you to see conflicts. So, China, what Joe's talked about in NVIDIA, I was driving to work today, Joe. I'm so frustrated how we see things, how we just watch the TV and we just blindly just go with whatever we're told is happening. Is Apple an American? We think it's an American company. Apple's an American company. Is that real? Come on. Everything they do is in China. Oh, well, with some white guys, that own Apple, Well, yeah, what do you think? Most of what China's doing is owned by a bunch of white businessmen. So this whole thing, is this China, is this America? We need to start retooling our brains. Right, Joe? Apple and NVIDIA are going to get exceptions because they're not China and America. They're businesses that operate multinationally world reserve currency? What does it even matter, Joe?
800-951-0592. Silver's down about 50 cents. We got 5-ounce silver bars. Hey, $5 cheaper today. $5 cheaper today. $180. Rolls of Silver Eagles. $10 off. $7.95 this morning. I've got a handful literally a handful of 20s that I can still do at $34.50, but that's it. That's it. If you want to sell, call us. Right? We're buying. There's no doubt about that right now. 800-951-0592. And the problem is, Jason, the people that are selling, they don't want to.
I know.
Right? That's kind of the problem.
And let me say this. We don't talk about this very often, but we got a lot of really smart listeners of this gold show. It's different than even just the KH&C shows. And I want to say this: if you're one of those guys that likes to call in to the other shows, or you text in even to this show, or you love what Joe brings to the table or what we talk about on a daily basis, and don't buy from Patriot. Maybe maybe you have the cheapest guy in the world. You buy the cheapest metals you possibly can. But they don't give you the show. Hey, buy from Patriot. Generally, we have really good prices, and sometimes we're the cheapest you can find anywhere. So keep your ears peeled to these prices. But these other guys, these cheap guys you're buying from, they don't give you the show. Joe's the one that he sits here every day and pours out the facts and figures, and then you go buy from somebody else. Give me a break. Buy from Patriot. Buy from this company. You're going to feel better. Even if you're a buck over spot on a silver product, or maybe you pay $5 more on a gold piece, give me a break. Buy from this company. You buy from this company. If you're hearing this from Arizona or Colorado, or if you're anywhere in the country that streaming into 136khnc.com, it's time to get a little more loyal with your dollars, especially with your gold and silver purchases, Joe, because Eric started this company, and it's been going for a long, long time, well before I got here 7 years ago. And this is where you want to put your dollars for gold and silver. Put them here. Get a relationship started, right, Joe?
Listen, I can't tell you how many dealers have come and gone. How many coin shops, how many this, how many that. They're not here anymore. Like Jason said, I don't know what this show's worth. Hopefully it's worth your loyalty if that's in question out there. But I will say this. We've been here for 29 years, and we're going to be here for another 29, another 29. That's what's important. At the end of the day, the relationships are what's important. And again, it's funny. When we get calls in here, I'll tell you right now, when it's people we don't know, Who'd you buy them from?
Yeah, who are you?
Who are you? Who did you buy them from? What am I getting? I don't know what I'm getting, right? And that's the thing. When you buy from us, I know the quality of the product that you bought, right? There's no question to it. So it's important. It's worth bringing up. Listen, I'm not going to go out and tell people how to spend their money, but I'll say this. I know we appreciate the business. We work really hard to earn that, and we sell things as cheap as we can. That allows us to still stay in business, right? I mean, that's really, at the end of the day, right? That's the most important thing. And, what are we talking about today? We're talking about how much longer are some of these companies going to stay in business, right? That's the problem. It just happened. There's a gold guy who's down the street. 2 weeks ago, it's gone. Signs off the building, right? Landlord sees the premises, gone. Now what? Now what do those people do? Well, call us, 800-951-0592. Here's the good news. We're wrapping up a Thursday. We've gotten through, I know that, yesterday wasn't a great day. Today's not a great day. Could be worse today. Listen, it may get worse. I don't know, but right now, the Dow's only down 450. Right? The S&P's actually up 12 points. NASDAQ now is lower as well, but diversifying here, it's so important. I mean, when you have, I'll tell you what, so I got home yesterday and I wanted to make sure, because, I try to listen to everybody. So I had Mad Money on, Jim Cramer, and he was talking about companies. And he's saying, listen, yep, potato chips are expensive. But believe me, they've done everything they can to keep the price down. Yes. Are they putting less chips in the bag? Yes. Are they doing this? Yes. Are they cut this? Yes. And guess what he said? He says, I'm telling these companies right now, I know your margins are, you've got to figure out a way to cut price. Right? This is what he's talking about. And this is the problem. This is a huge problem for Wall Street. Right, Jason? Because at the end of the day, they're like, wait a minute, our margins are getting brutalized, but yet we can't get sales. We got to figure out how to cut price. And Jim Cramer said there's only one place left to go. That's people and margins. That's it.
Yeah. There's not a lot of places they can go. We're getting long in the tooth.
Yeah, right. These are good companies. They know how to do stuff, right? It's like they're all out of tricks right now.
It's been pushed as far as it can be pushed, Joe. And I think this really does go back. It goes back. You can go back and go back and go back. But the 2008 housing crash, Joe, created a problem that never was solved. And that was obviously caused by stuff that happened before that. But if you want to just go back a little ways, they didn't fix that. A big, ugly turd that they just buried lightly. And the erosion of the last 15 years has brought it, a few rains showed up and exposed it again, Joe.
Yes, they cover my Big Daddy reference. They just covered it up with newspaper. What was the newspaper? It was Federal Reserve notes. Final segment. 800-951-0592. Patriot Radio News Hour. Final segment here. $20 gold. The few that are remaining at $34.50. Take advantage. Gold. You know what's funny? Not all up days are equal. Not all down days are equal. This was a good one, right? This was a good down day. Jason will tell you, I worried yesterday because I said to, every morning, Jason, we have a little huddle. I'm like, He's like, man, look at gold, right? Oh, you told everybody. I'm like, yeah, but, man, we got this huge gap in the chart now. And this morning, to the T, gold fills the gap, kind of bounces off, sitting here at 3,300. Here's the table's now set to go higher again, right? And it's done it. And again, remember when we started the show, we're on an accelerated cycle this year. Last year, the cycle started. It just took a while, right? We would go 2, 3, 4 weeks for the cycle to complete itself and then go to the next leg higher. Jason, it's doing, normally this year anyway, it does the cycle in a week. And this week, look at what it did. It did the cycle.
Yep. Well,
right? It came in and did the cycle.
In March and April last year, it went from 2,000 to 2,400 like nothing. It was like 2,400, I think, by April or maybe early May. It was $100 a week for a while, and then it did the slow climb, like you said, the slower cycles. By the end of the year, we were facing 20. I think it dropped at the end of the year a couple $100, and we ended up at like 2,700, 2,600, and then boom, right away, 2025 started, and look where we're at now, Joe. It is just gone bonkers. So. Maybe we're going to go into it, Joe. Maybe you hit it. It sure does seem that what's been happening in late 23 and all of 24 and 25. It sure seems like a very measured, fast rise of gold.
Yeah.
Are we looking at multiple years of $1,000 gold each year? 2 to 3, this year's 3 to 4, 2026 is 4 to 5. Because these markets are controlled. You have just When Trump has 13 billionaires in his cabinet and he has the peanut gallery, he has all the biggest companies and biggest billionaires represented, and they're not being hurt by the tariffs, but everybody else is going to get hurt by the tariffs, right, Joe? This is not a world of nations. This is a world of big business and very important, powerful men. And I think, Joe, the fact that the market started tumbling a couple weeks ago and it just kind of slowed, it just doesn't seem like the crashes of the past. And are people just dumber, Joe? Are people just don't understand it? Do they have, what? Are they just conditioned? Oh, yeah, it's another market crash. We'll get through it like the last one. And then it's like, thank you, sir, may I have another? It's like people they just accept it. Because this is not normal. This is not the way a market should be, the way that it's behaving, Joe. I talked about the homeless rates. It is hurting the people at the bottom, Joe. If you are not financially set, you're going to get hurt by this big time. And gold holders are doing really well in the last 2 years, Joe.
Yeah, and I'll say this time around. Listen, we're going to get through it. We're America. We will get through. It's not going to be, oh my gosh, yeah, it fell, but then 3 years later it's up 100, 200%. That's not going to happen. I think we're going to fall, and then we're going to stay down on that mat for a good decade, maybe longer. I don't think it's going to be as long as Japan. Japan still hasn't gotten off the mat. Be prepared, be diversified, call us, get your gold, get your silver put away.